A fire marshal was finishing up his morning jogging routine along with his GSD. On their way back home, he stopped at a coffee shop, brought his dog its favorite treat, a local cookie, and picked up the newspaper. Glanced through the headlines and decided he will read the rest at home. On their way back home, the bridge they usually take was unusually crowded for this time of the day. When the marshal peeped out his window, he could see that the traffic was at a standstill, and out from the lane up ahead came an armored truck that took the wrong lane and sped away. When the truck was about to clear the bridge, a school bus entered it and blocked the way. Now the armored truck braked hard to avoid a collision with the school bus. Two guys wearing masks left the truck and entered the school bus. The marshal sensed that things were getting out of hand and reached for his mobile phone when a police car overtook their vehicle and stopped near the bridge. The marshal instructed his dog, Max, stay, rolled down the window of his car and approached the police vehicle. When he asked the inspector what was going on, he was told that it is dangerous for civilians to be out here, and he was instructed to go back to his car. Now the marshal introduced himself to the inspector and told him he wanted to help. Now the inspector said, "We got a call about a robbery. When we chased those guys, they got stuck in this traffic. Now it looks like we have a hostage situation." Now the screaming of the school kids increased. One of the guys wearing a mask shouted toward the police, "We want the traffic to be cleared in 5 minutes. Until then, no one should approach us. If you fail, these children will pay the price." The inspector announced on his megaphone, "You can't escape. Don't hurt the children. We will stay away." The inspector asked his team to hold over the walkie. The marshal said, "I have a trained dog in my car. I can have him create a diversion while we approach and neutralize this situation." The inspector was not convinced. He said, "The situation involves kids and we will have to tread carefully. Let us wait for backup to arrive." The marshal said, "Okay," and started walking towards his car. The inspector asked him to stay and said, "Hope you have locked your car." The marshal said, "I will," and pressed the lock button on his car lock remote. At the same time, he took his phone out, opened an app, and clicked on the push to talk button. Now he discreetly spoke into his hands-free. "Max, ready." The dog waiting in his car had a special collar. It had a speaker which relayed what the owner just said. The dog immediately stood up and was ready for action. The owner said, "No sounds. Approach the school bus and do not come near me." The dog discreetly exited the car via the open window, crawled under the vehicle stuck in the traffic jam, and started moving toward the school bus. By now, the guy with the mask in the school bus started shouting again, "You have 3 more minutes to clear the traffic." To which the inspector responded, "We are working on it. Don't hurt the children." He got a message on his walkie that backup is 10 minutes away. The fire marshal was keenly tracking where his dog was. Max had reached the vehicle next to the school bus. Now the marshal ordered, "Get in the bus." The dog swiftly jumped into the bus via the last window. No one outside or inside the bus noticed this, but the kid on whose lap the dog landed screamed. The kid right next to him told, "This is a German Shepherd. It must have come to help us, so stay silent." One of the guys with the mask heard the scream of the boy and came to the back of the bus to check it out. But there was nothing unusual. He asked, "Why did you shout?" But the kid was frozen and did not give an answer. So the guy with the mask threatened him that if he didn't talk, he was going to beat him up. At that moment, the GSD who was hiding below the seat attacked the robber. When the robber fell to the floor, it attacked him again, neutralizing him. The other robber in the bus heard this and came running to rescue his partner. But before he could figure out what had happened, the dog attacked him too, and now the bus was secure. The guy sitting in the armored truck heard the screams of his partners, so he tried checking on them via their walkie, but they did not respond. So he decided to walk up to the bus to see what had happened. He couldn't see his partners from outside, so he walked up to the entrance of the bus. That is when the dog jumped out of the bus and started attacking him as well. The inspector noticed what was going on and ordered his team to approach. He turned to the marshal and asked, "Is that your dog? I asked you not to," and swiftly moved toward the bus. Now, to everyone's shock, the back door of the armored truck opened. A fourth guy wearing a mask came out, carrying a heavy bag. He took out a gun and aimed it at Max, who was busy attacking the driver. Before the police could shout out a warning, the marshal yelled into his hands-free, "Max, roll!" Max instantly stopped the attack and rolled under the school bus. The fourth robber shot and missed Max. By now, the police were closing in on him pretty fast, so he decided to make a run with the bag. He climbed the wall of the bridge and tried to jump into the river, but the bag was stuck behind the wall. When he checked, Max had emerged from under the bus and was now biting the bag he was carrying. He was trying to get a clear shot of Max, but he was cleverly hiding behind the bag. The robber had no choice but to jump, leaving the bag behind. The cops narrowly missed him. The inspector announced in his walkie that the dog is a friendly, checked on the children in the school bus, and arrested the three robbers. The marshal patted his dog and said, "Good boy. But why did you go after the bag when I had instructed you to stay put?" Max was looking guilty. The inspector came up to them and asked, "Was this dog trained in the academy?" The way it went after the robbers was impressive. The marshal replied, "No, Max has not received any special training. He is just naturally intelligent." The inspector was surprised. By now, a lot of media persons had arrived at the scene. The inspector said that he will call the marshal later as he had a lot of questions about Max, and left. The marshal gave Max another treat, and they both got into the car. Max was happily peeping out the window, enjoying the ride back home.